Stephanie Berman-Eisenberg, President of Carrfour Supportive Housing. We are a not-for-profit provider of both supportive housing and affordable housing. We were born out of the Miami Greater Chamber of Commerce. At the time in 1993 when we were created, there was a lot of attention locally to the homeless issue. But most of the attention was being paid to emergency shelters and a quick emergency fix. And a group of chamber members got together and said, that's great, but what's going to happen next? And that's the idea of Carrfour as a next step to emergency housing. And it came about to create permanent solutions for folks leaving homelessness. We provide anything that the family needs on site: case management, employment and training services, recovery support, life skills training, parenting support, anything the family needs to stay successfully housed and not cycle back into homelessness. So the services are really, we look at it as a safety net. We're not checking in on people to make sure every day they're doing what they need to do, or that, that's not the level of service. It's really a safety net of services that are available when a family needs some assistance so that they don't cycle back into the systems that they might typically cycle into if we weren't here to support them, whether it's hospital care or drug treatment programs or jail or any of those types of costly systems. So the idea being that our families, if they lose their benefits or they lose their job, they're doing well, and then something happens that requires some assistance, they have somewhere to turn to. Whereas if they didn't have those supports, those are the type of life issues that can spiral a family back into homelessness. We compete in the world of the for-profit affordable housing developers in Miami. What makes us different is the supportive services that we provide on site, and also the type of families that we house. So while the affordable housing developers would typically house families in the 60% AMI range, so even though they still need affordable housing, they're on the higher end of income, our families are the extremely low income and formerly homeless families. And then the other big difference is the supportive services that we provide on site, which we feel are really critical to helping our families turn their lives around and stay housed. The bulk of our capital financing comes from the tax credit program from Florida Housing Finance Corporation. But then we cobble together all sorts of local subsidies as a not-for-profit where we get a lot of foundation support. So a typical building like the one we're sitting in today possibly could have 8 or 9 different capital funding sources cobbled together to create the whole budget. We work in partnership on a lot of different levels. So when we're building, sometimes we have partnered with for-profits to build some of our developments. We partner with government in buildings like the one we're sitting in today, and we have a couple of other partnerships with Miami-Dade County. We have a community down south called Verde Gardens. That was a partnership with the Miami-Dade County Homeless Trust, which is 145 units of supportive housing for homeless families, a 22-acre organic farm and a farmer's market. And that land is still owned by the county, but we operate it for them and we provide the supportive services on site, and we also operate the farm. We're doing a lot of work in Liberty City right now. We have 2 projects in pre-development that we're going through underwriting, and hopefully we'll break ground within the next year. And we've also been doing a lot of work on Liberty Square, which there's been a lot of attention to lately. It's the last remaining public housing development in that area. And we've been advocating strongly for the past year for some redevelopment in that community, and also to really encourage government to make sure that it's a holistic redevelopment, not just a knocking down of the housing and a rebuilding of the existing housing, but to make sure that education is taken into account, that the social services that the family needs are brought in, that there's wellness amenities that the community needs, so that where we live, within 5 minutes we can get to anything that we need, any store we need, any neighborhood amenity we need, and we want to make sure that the residents of Liberty Square have access to that as well, not to have to take 3 buses and a Metro Rail ride to get somewhere that they need to go. So all of our developments have some eligibility criteria. Income is one across the board, that you have to meet the income criteria in order to be eligible. There's different income levels within our different communities that people have to meet, but all of them are under 60% of the area median income. So we don't provide any housing to anyone over 60% of the area median income. And for our homeless units, families only pay 30% of whatever income they have as rent. So it's very affordable. If it's somebody who's not able to work and their only source of income is a disability check, the rent that they pay is 30% of that entitlement benefit. Employment is a big issue. I think if employers were more friendly to special needs populations, understand the importance of giving a chance to someone that might not have long histories of employment, or recognizing that someone might have breaks in employment, that if giving up an opportunity to family like that can be transformative. So employment's a big issue for our families, and a big reason why a lot of families enter into homelessness, especially over the last couple of years after the economic downturn. It's been tough. Jobs are, I think, tough for everyone, but primarily difficult for our families that don't have the employment background, don't have the educational experience that a lot of other folks are competing with have. The feedback that we see when we see how their lives turn around, and it's great to be working in the building where they're living, because we see it. We see someone moving in, and we kind of see the look in their eyes, and we see kind of the desperation when they're first moving in, and then a year or two later when you're riding the elevator with them, and you just see their whole presence and everything about them has just turned around. That's really important for us to see. But the feedback that we get, we have residents that are board members on our board of directors, and they're kind of the voice of the residents for our board. And we regularly just hear how transformative the services that we provide are, and how transformative the housing is.